everything in South Florida is what they call sand set. Sand is laid down. It's a compacted recycled concrete sand. It's wet and compacted with a plate compactor that gives you tensile strength before you put the pavers over top.
All right, welcome to Opportunity Knocks. I'm your host, Todd Patton, and today we have Troy Aikman, right from the booth here. Yes, sir.
In the house.
My man. So, Christian, man, it's so good to have you here. You started Paver Doctor how many years ago now? 20?
Well, I've been in this business since the time that I was a person learning the industry with U.S. Brick and Block. They're a pretty large paper company since 2003. And then basically parted ways after about 3 years of gaining advice and learning about the different facets of pavers, maintenance, the installation part of it, and decided that it was time for me to go out on my own.
And how long ago was that? When did you officially start?
This was actually around 2006 that I've been in business.
Yeah, 20 years, 19 years. That's a big celebration. We have to celebrate that one.
Absolutely.
And we have the backyard to do it, man. I was just in Christian's backyard. It's beautiful. So tell me a little bit about your story about where you grew up. Is it Pompano, South Florida?
No, I'm actually, even though I look like Troy Aikman, I'm actually a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
I was going to say, I can hear that accent.
Because I was born in Philadelphia and grew up in South Jersey, which is right across the bridge. And, if you're going to be for an NFL team, it's not going to be the Giants. That's an hour and a half north.
Right.
In Rutherford, New Jersey. And they're more or less, New Yorkers call them their team. So we kind of latched on to the Eagles. So go Birds.
Yeah, big one.
And basically, I grew up in South Jersey, and I have a brother that lives in Houston, Texas, and he was in the stucco mason business. And I went out there and broke away from New Jersey in 1995, and decided to come to Florida.
What brought you here?
99.
That was everybody wanted to be spring break.
I came here when I was living in New Jersey, and I couldn't believe when I got off the plane in January. I had my leather jacket on, and I see people riding around in flip-flops and T-shirts. And I spent my week at Sunrise Boulevard in A1A at my friend's condo, and I thought I was in another country.
Oh my gosh, that's the spot. That's like the heart of
where the candy box was at, and all these different places that were synopsis with spring break. So I was pretty impressed, and I said to myself, one of these days I got to figure out what I got to do to make it here, because this seemed to be the place to be in January.
That's great.
So
that was it. After that, it took you how long to get back?
I mean, basically, I came here as a young man, and then got married and moved to Houston, did some various things there, and came here in 99. I sold boats and got into the paver industry again around 2003. So
in Pompano, you lived?
I lived in Pompano and also lived in Fort Lauderdale.
All right.
So I've been a Floridian since 99. So I guess I'm a true Floridian now by transplant.
But you haven't lost that accent.
No, I haven't lost
that. That's never
going.
Yeah. So let's talk cheesesteaks. So Philly,
it's always Geno's and Pat's.
Is that really
That was the two. Now you got a lot of these boutique places, I believe. Even the guy who loves the Eagles, he's not really he isn't from there. He's the actor. I forget his name. Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper just partnered with a Italian restaurant, and apparently the line's 3 hours to go get the cheesesteak, and it's been consistent since he got his hands in there. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the reviews. Looks like a pretty good cheesesteak. I don't know about standing in line for 3 hours. But the other ones that are back in the day from when I used to live there was Geno's and Pat's. And if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd probably say Geno's.
Yeah.
I'm not a cheese whiz guy. I like, provolone melted on my cheesesteak.
What about South Florida? Do we have any? Because there's a Pittsburgh bar, I think, that's pretty good.
Yeah, there was a couple Pittsburgh places around here. They had one pizza place that was over at Sunrise in A1A. Primanti Brothers. There's another one, I believe, on Oakland Park in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, yeah.
There's also a couple different Italian delis around here that offer cheesesteaks.
Cafe Moderano, you ever been there?
Yes, Cafe Moderano.
He's
from my neck of the woods, and friends of mine actually grew up with him.
Oh, really?
And his story. He wrote a book, so he's a very eclectic and colorful guy.
He
You know,
is.
he's been around town. You know what I'm saying? You owe me that money, or otherwise I'm going to break your legs. You know what I'm saying?
He's got a podcast I saw, or I think he does it in the alley or something.
Yeah.
And he's an interesting guy, man, and he built a hell of a business there.
Most of the people that are from the Northeast are pretty colorful,
Yeah.
and they have a lot to offer when it comes to cultural and diversity. Where Florida basically is a montage of everything.
That's right.
You know, people come for the favorable weather, and they come here and they never leave. But getting back to why I came here was favorable weather, being able to work year round, and happened to be get into the hardscape business, and that's where I've been since then.
And you've had the company now 20 years, amazing.
Yep.
And what's next for Paver, Doc? What do you think? I mean, your primary area location is Broward, right?
Yeah, we're out of Pompano Beach, so we service all Broward, including Weston, Boca, the beach. We do residential and commercial. We do a lot of condominiums. We do a lot of servicing of condominiums. I'm actually looking at a job tomorrow. It's a sizable pool deck on the beach, so it can be as small as 800 square feet or 80,000 square feet. So we've done it all. We've garnered a lot of experience since the time that hardscape became super popular and started blowing up down here. And
is that the term people use, hardscape? They'll say,
yeah, basically when you're going to do anything out, when you're putting paths on your patio, pool deck, your driveway, your walkways, it's considered hardscape. So it's a way to put a surface so you're not walking on grass or dirt.
Now, you told me earlier your favorite type of hardscape is Chattahoochee. Is that right?
Yeah. When I used to learn the industry, I was coming across a lot of Chattahoochee, and this was around 2003. And apparently that was probably one of the most primary uses of substrate that people would have existing on their pool patio. And most of the time we were able to actually put a remodel paver and go right over it without having to rip it out via jackhammer, because Chattahoochee is about an 1.5 to 2 inch layer of masonry pebbles over top of 6 inches of concrete.
Gosh, that's labor.
Yeah.
So wait, how do you do it if the pool, like obviously you're going up, most of the places have pools.
Mm-hmm.
How would you?
Depending upon your elevation, then if you're able to go in the house and you have a step up of about 3 inches.
Yeah, then you're good.
Then
on
you're
that
good.
side, I'm talking about for the pool. Like
when you get to the pool, typically the old school coping that was in lieu of Chattahoochee was called a duckbill coping. It was about 12 inches in length and had a large lip on it.
I remember that. Yeah,
like Daffy Duck's duckbill.
Yeah.
So that whole piece would come out, and that would expose the waterline tile, and that would give you enough elevation to be able to go over top of the Chattahoochee and bring the coping out to the edge of the pool. You're going to redo your diamond bite and then redo the waterline tile from whatever dated ceramic was to, say, the new linear glass style waterline tile now. So as long as you have the elevations and you're going to change your coping, then you can sometimes go over old substrates like Cool Deck,
which saves a ton of money.
Which saves a lot of money and a lot of labor and a lot of dust, a lot of unwanted activity that you don't really need. Plus, you're using it as a substrate underneath, because if you don't have anything existing, really what is underneath is just sand. So everything in South Florida is what they call sand set. The sand is laid down. It's a compacted recycled concrete sand. It's wet and compacted with a plate compactor that gives you tensile strength before you put the pavers over top. So that's usually your base.
Man, you know your stuff. If there's ever a subject in Jeopardy, pavers, your money. I'm calling you. I'm gonna be phoning a friend.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know your stuff, man.
Yeah, so basically, pavers are a very, very popular way of, again, addressing driveways or pool patios. And also, a bonus to them is that when you do have a problem where there is some settling, which can happen, you can simply have that area repaired. So if you have a large deck or a poured slab or a Chattahoochee deck, when it cracks, it's very unsightly and cannot be repaired. And no matter what you do, the crack or the fissure and the elevation can never fully be reconstruct it again.
Pavers, you just have to fix that little area.
Pavers, you just basically go over the area that has been depressed, whether it was undermined by weather or the pool overflowed or a leak or what have you, can be fixed at that location.
So do you, when you install a new job, do you give them extra pavers that are left over? Or
Yeah, typically when you're going to install a pool patio, we try to order at least 5 to 8% of waste, especially if you're doing a certain kind of coping, like I had showed you on my pool, which is called an infinity edge. That's eliminating the actual soldier course and not having a coping and having a full piece of travertine extend and get cut and become the coping itself. So when you do certain kind of custom cutting like that, you will have a waste ratio between 5 to 8%. So we typically try to have at least 25 square feet of material left over to put on a cool, nice shaded area on the side of the house. So if you ever have any issues in the future, whether someone stains it with wine or papers crack or what have you, you can easily repair that from the same lot that came from. Because once you buy something in 2025 and you decide you want to try to do that in 2028, sometimes it's difficult to get that because you remember, pavers are man-made. So the chances of getting the same amount of dye in that lot when they're produced in a machine is slim to none, although within 10% of the color. But when you get veining from travertine out of a mountain, it was only made once.
Exactly.
So
having that in your back, that's good.
Yeah, having that in your side for doing any kind of repairs is essential, and that really separates somebody that's forward thinking when you're hiring somebody versus just basically trying to figure it out on yourself.
Awesome. And your reviews on Google are incredible. I mean, you've built a good business.
We work very hard, and when it comes to, whether you're installing a patio or redoing someone's pool deck and making their dream revitalize and actually want to spend time out in their backyard, you work very hard because, first of all, it's something that's an investment. You're going to add value to your home, and at the end of the day, people have lived with what they had that they're so happy that they have something completely different now that changes their perspectives on their backyard, or you had something that was in need of repair, and anytime you fix something, it makes you even feel good about yourself. Whether it's a doorknob in the house that, honey, can you fix that? Or something loose. Yeah. When you fix it, you always feel better about the situation. So, we work very hard in order to make sure that we do the best we can and try to be upfront with expectations when something is 20 plus years old. It's always an improvement. Very rarely do we have something that's not satisfied.
Awesome. Man, it's been great. And another episode of Opportunity Knocks. We have my man Chris here. Before we leave, Super Bowl weekend predictions. What do we got? What's the score?
I mean, how could you go against Saquon,
Yeah, I know.
who's had a phenomenal year? The Giants really did themselves no favor letting him go. I think Saquon, if he's able to get started early in the game, and Jalen also follow up with his footwork and just getting Brown or Devontae Smith engaged, I think it'll be a good game. I think you'll see the Eagles up by at least 8 points.
8?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the score. I'm going to predict it. It's going to be Eagles 24, Chiefs 21. 24-21.
That's a tight game.
Yeah, it's gonna go down the last play.
With that kind of tightness, I hope the refs, like Rodney Dangerfield in Caddyshack, said, "Keep it fair, keep it fair."
We'll finish at that, my man. So glad you're part of One Home too, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Awesome.